Good morning, everyone. Welcome to All Levels Yoga. My name is Michelle Chua. Make sure that you have a couple of yoga blocks. We'll be using the tallest height. So, in case you're making makeshift yoga blocks with firm pillows, let's begin in a comfortable seat. So, this week started yesterday with a new exploration of the third yama, or ethical principle within the first of 8 limbs of yoga. And that yama is asteya, which means non-stealing. And yesterday we talked about different ways we can understand what stealing means, besides the obvious, like taking someone's apple, for example. We talked about how we could steal someone's time or their trust, or one-up somebody in a conversation, stealing attention. Today I want to share a few quotes, and this one is by Mahatma Gandhi. And he says that asteya, or non-stealing, does not mean merely not to steal. To keep or take anything which one does not need is also stealing. We are not always aware of our real needs, and most of us improperly multiply our wants and thus improperly or unconsciously make thieves of ourselves. One who follows the observance of non-stealing will bring about a progressive reduction of his own wants. Much of the distressing poverty in this world has risen out of the breaches of the principle of non-stealing. Art of Living has an article about asteya written by Sejal Shah, and she says that taking more than we need often arises from greed, envy, and insecurity. And in so doing, we steal the real freedom and joy of life from ourselves. How interesting is that if we think of how yoga teaches us that there's no separation, that you are in me, I am in you, and when we see that we are inflicting harm or taking away from another being, we're doing the same thing to ourselves, karmically and cause and effect long term, but also spiritually. That's an interesting thing to chew on. Here's a last quote by a yoga teacher, Deborah Adele. Gather all the resources you need to support your particular service in the world. No more, no less. So what are those resources that you need? In beginning today's yoga practice, in which we experiment and we create a focus, perhaps a tone to set the day with, maybe with an intention, here's a self-inquiry you might focus upon. What are my true needs? If I come to the bottom line, if I go to the bottom line of what I might be seeking, desiring, what are my true needs? So bringing those two subsequent practices or previous practices of ahimsa, non-harm, non-violence, and satya, truthfulness and integrity, to bring us into this third practice, asteya, or non-stealing. So I invite you to bring your hands down to your stomach. Maybe even close your eyes. Allow a pause to tune into what you're feeling inside and outside. This area of our gut is often where we can really sense the truth of things, or how we're being honest with ourselves. What are you needing in this moment as you perhaps set a focus or intention for your practice? Let's begin to slow the breath down. A few exhales through the mouth. Inhaling more deeply as you sit a bit taller, lifting through your crown and grounding through your pelvis. And exhale a sound to your mouth as you soften the soles of your feet, your palms, your eyes. And now I invite you to close your lips and just breathe through your nose. And let's welcome some heat in the belly region, using a slow and steady breath, expanding into the belly, and then hollowing the belly as you exhale. Breathing into the belly and hollowing the belly as you exhale. And know that you can revert to this slow and steady pace. But let's start to practice breath of fire, in which they're short, quick breaths, passive inhales, and more percussive exhales that bounce the belly towards the spine. Kind of sounds like you're blowing your nose quickly like this. You might start and stop a few times as you're practicing. Notice what happens in your upper body as you're practicing breath of fire. Keep the shoulders relaxing down, the neck spacious and light, face relaxed, focusing on the heat building right here in the abdominal region, stoking the digestive fire or Agni. So those of you that would like to practice the Kundalini Kriya, we've been practicing quite a bit of, it's ego eradicator pose, in which you straighten your arms to 60-degree angles, thumbs stretching pointed towards the sky, other fingers curled in, so you actively stretch the space between your thumb and index fingers while you're practicing breath of fire like this. As you close your eyes, you can center your gaze towards the brow center at the center of the forehead. And I'm going to time us for this Kundalini practice for 1 minute. So prepare, ready, begin. Start to develop a steady rhythm, exhaling as the belly bounces towards the spine, mouth is closed the whole time. We have 20 more. Eyes relaxed, mouth relaxed. Take a deep breath in, keep your arms up, hold your breath and lift your pelvic floor. Draw your navel in towards the spine, up towards the chest. And as you exhale slowly through your mouth, bring your thumbs to touch overhead with eyes closed. Then release your palms face down out to your sides and onto your lap. And just pause here to observe the effects of that for a moment. And let's continue to build warmth using Ujjayi Pranayama, or victorious breathing. So as your mouth is still closed, sustain your breath again evenly in and out through your nose. All the while softly constricting the back of your throat so that you can listen to a gentle whispering sound. Balancing in and out breath. Continue to listen to that sound as we start a mini vinyasa. So really synchronizing breath and movement. Sit tall. If you are crossing your legs, you might want to switch the crosses to even out the stretch in your hips. As you firm down through your sitting bones, inhale, raise your arms overhead, straight up, triceps wrapping forward, shoulders relaxed. And now to your left, as I mirror you, exhale, twist at your waistline, lower your fingertips all the way down, and maybe even look behind you. Inhale, raise your arms, coming back to center. Exhale, twist to the other side, lowering your hands and maybe looking behind you. Inhale, lift up through center, and this time bend your elbows apart like a cactus shape, coiling your chest up while drawing your tailbone down. Inhale the arms up. Let's try a couple more cycles. Exhale, twist to your left. Maybe a little deeper. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, twist to your right. Maybe a little deeper. Inhale, center. Exhale, coil your chest up, bending the elbows apart. Soften the bottom of your front ribs in. Inhale, arms up. Last round. Exhale, twist. Inhale, lift. Exhale, twist. Inhale, lift. Exhale, cactus, bend the elbows, lift the chest, seal in the front ribs. And then from here, interlace your fingers behind your skull. Splay your elbows wide apart. Take a deep breath in, get a little taller through your crown, and then exhale, round your back as you would in cat pose, looking down at your navel as you bring your elbows towards each other. Inhale, blossom your chest towards the sky, splay your elbows apart, gazing up, lengthen the back of your neck. Exhale, contract your belly to round, elbows coming together. Inhale, lift, lengthen the lower back as you coil your chest up. Exhale, round. One more cycle. Inhale, lift. And exhale, round. Nice. From here, relax and let's come on down to all fours, hands and knees. We're going to give our triceps a stretch. We did have a request today to work on some arm strengthening, some heart opening. So both go together well as we stabilize the shoulders. Let's create some flexibility though in the upper arms for a moment. So as you set your blocks up in front of you like a train, place them on their second level or medium height, crossing your mat. And as you come to sit on your shins for a moment, extend your arms forward, rotating your upper arm bones at the shoulder sockets. Spin your triceps towards the floor so your palms flip up, and then set your elbows onto the block stably, exactly your shoulders distance apart. Pressing your fingertips into each other, hollow the center of your palms, and walk your knees back enough so that your hips are slightly in front of your knees. Knees are further back. Then begin to trace your thumbs down the back of your skull towards your neck, keeping your elbows exactly shoulders width apart. As you lower your head and sink your chest towards the earth, lift your front ribs, lift your navel towards your back body, and lengthen your sitting bones, your tailbone back. Let's take another 4 deep breaths here. Continue to rotate your outer upper arms or triceps downward, thus broadening across the tops of your shoulders and your shoulder blades. Can you hear the quality of your breath and how that aligns to the intention that you just set? So this idea of not taking more or less than what we truly need in the moment, how does that play out in your physical asana yoga practice? Let's draw the belly in and slowly rise up onto hands and knees, all fours. We're going to give the outer wrists a stretch for a moment. So lean back on your shins and make fists out of your hands, gently pressing your fists against each other. Lean them, the backs of your fists, onto the ground and slowly shift your weight forward, tuning into just the right amount, not any more or less of stretch that you need in your outer wrists and forearms. Pay attention to your neck, your shoulders, your jaw and face, keeping them relaxed for another 3 deep breaths. Elbows are splaying bent apart off the floor. Belly is slightly lifted, supporting length in your back. And then from here, Set your hands onto the ground and come really high onto your finger pads. So really tiptoes of your fingertips. And then let's take a few cat-cows here. So set your knees slightly behind your hips, high on your fingertips, breathe in and glide your spine forward. Coil your chest up and press your heart forward. Lift your tailbone. Exhale, press downward with your finger pads and hollow your belly. Look down between your knees, splaying your shoulder blades apart. Inhale again, lengthen your spine forward. Slide your shoulder blades together and down your back. Exhale as you contract your belly, splay your shoulder blades wide apart. Take one more round, really lifting high on your finger pads. Strengthening the muscles that support your wrists before we even put more weight on our hands. Then relax to a neutral spine and set your wrists on the ground exactly under your shoulders, knees exactly under your hips in modified plank. See that your index fingers are parallel to each other. Your thumbs are stretching towards each other wide and flat. And then begin to straighten one leg back, then the other leg back, coming into full plank, another 5 breaths. As you're firming your heels back, activate the front muscles of your thighs. Can you feel a rebound of your weight off the floor to your palms as you even press a bit more into your finger pads? Draw your shoulder blades down your back and slightly wide apart, broadening your chest forward as you look towards the ground past your fingertips. Lift your lower belly, the sides of your waist, and we're here for one more deep breath, feeling a strong lengthening from crown, tailbone to inner heels. And exhale your knees to the floor, bring your feet together, and sit back towards your heels in child's pose. Breathe in, breathe out. Couple more breaths. So in that idea of knowing just what you need in the moment, not any more or any less, notice when that takes the form of rest, just like here now. Begin to walk your hands towards the outsides of your knees, separating your feet a little wider than hips width apart. Tuck your toes behind you and begin to stand with very bent knees in a forward fold, right at the rear of your mat. Bend your knees so much that your belly could rest on your thighs as you catch hold of opposite elbows with your fingertips. Pulling your weight forward and down, completely relax your skull. Deep breaths. Allow your weight to tilt forward, slightly heavier on the balls of your feet than your heels. You might explore soft movements at your neck or swaying your spine side to side. Then switch the hold of the elbow on top. Continue to pull your weight forward, bend your knees. And as you're drawing your elbows towards the ground, begin to lift your sitting bones a little higher towards any degree you might be able to straighten your legs without losing length in your spine, space in your neck. Lift your shoulders up away from your ears. And now ground your fingertips. They could be on your shins if they don't easily touch the ground. As you inhale, firming your belly in the fronts of your thighs, draw your chest forward through your upper arms, looking towards the tip of your nose. Half forward folds. Exhale, hinge a little deeper from your hips. Rooting down through your feet, inhale, circle your arms to rise up. Let your palms meet towards overhead as you relax your shoulders down. Exhale, trace your thumbs down your center line, arms by your sides, mountain pose. Ardha Surya Namaskar. Inhale, root down through your feet and circle your arms overhead, relaxing your shoulders, gaze up. Exhale, hinge from your hips, knowing you could bend your knees any degree to maintain the fullest length of your spine. Press with your fingertips and inhale, draw your heart forward, full length through the crown of your head. Exhale, bow a little further. Root down through your feet, inhale, rise, leading with your chest, palms meet. Exhale through your center line, back to mountain. One more half sun salutation. Inhale, circle your arms up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, press to elongate your spine. Exhale, fold even more. Rooting into the earth, inhale, rise high. Lengthen and lift. Exhale, bring it back to your heart, standing tall. Let's come up to the top of our mat. Inhaling, sweep your arms up in mountain pose, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhaling, bow forward. Inhaling, press to lengthen halfway. This time, have your fingertips outside of your heels. You could use blocks if needed, and step the ball of your left foot back into a high lunge. Make sure that your outer feet are aligned with your outer hips. Your feet are parallel and your front knee is directly over the heel. As you breathe in, extend your chest forward, just like that half forward fold, scissoring your right outer hip back. Exhaling, begin to plug your right thigh bone deeper into the hip socket towards straightening your right leg as you expand your chest forward to fold inside of that leg. Inhale, rebend your right knee into your lunge. Exhale, draw your right hip back, straighten and fold. 3 more cycles of breath. Inhale, lunge. Exhale as you fold, feel that open space between your chin and your chest. Inhale. And exhale. Let's hold on the exhale here, or this posture. Keep breathing for a few more breaths. Stepping your left foot about 1 foot forward, shorter stance. Spin your back heel down into pyramid pose. As you keep your right heel still, imagine you're dragging it towards the rear of your mat, keeping an even length on both sides of your torso, from your armpits to your outer hips. Hinging forward, draw your navel inward towards your back body. Last 2 breaths. From here, step back into downward facing dog. First one, you might explore some movements on your own for a few breaths. Pedaling your feet can help to warm up the backs of your legs. Swiveling your hips like you're doing the twist can help to lengthen the sides of your waist. Or softly moving your head in different directions to loosen your neck. Breathe in. Breathe out. And begin to find stillness. Rooting down, especially between your thumb and index fingers. Pressing the mat away so you can draw energy up your arms to straighten them, lifting your shoulder blades stably onto your back ribs. Let your head go. Now let's take 1 more breath. Bend your knees, lift your heels and hips high, look past your fingertips. And as you exhale, walk to the front of your mat, standing in a forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, fold. This time, bend your knees, reach your hands behind you to clasp, stretching your arms away from your back as you let your head fall for a few breaths. Feel your weight slightly heavier towards the balls of your feet as you completely loosen your neck, loosen your jaw. Perhaps switch the interlacing of your thumb and index finger on top, and notice if that feels any different in your shoulders. Arms reaching forward, shoulders lifting away from your neck, skull falling towards the earth. 2 more breaths. Lower your fingertips on the outsides of your heels, perhaps using blocks. Step the ball of your right foot far back into a high lunge. With feet hips width apart, parallel, and front knee bent just over the heel. Breathe in and extend your chest forward. Breathe out and scissor your left outer hip back towards straightening the leg. Fold in. Inhale, rebend front knee into a lunge. Exhale, draw the left thigh bone back and fold. 3 more cycles. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, scissor and fold. Breathe in. Breathe out. Last one. Now let's stay in pyramid pose in this forward fold. Step your right foot, 1 foot forward, spin the heel down. Keep your left heel still, but imagine you're dragging it towards the rear of your mat to help square your hips forward. Lengthen your sternum, middle of your chest forward, and draw your shoulder blades onto your upper back. Folding in breath by breath. Firm your belly towards your back and open your throat. Pyramid pose, one more breath here. And this time, let's step back into plank pose. Holding again for 5 breaths in plank. Stack your shoulders right on top of your wrists. Steady your gaze on the ground in front of your hands about 1 foot ahead, lengthening your neck, lengthening your chest forward. Feel the strength of your legs as you're pressing your heels firmly back, engaging the front of your thighs. Draw your tailbone towards the space right between your inner heels, lifting your lower abdomen. One more full breath. And exhale your knees to the ground. All right, so we've warmed up a little bit before we get a little deeper into some upper arm strengthening. I'd like you to set up your blocks at their tallest height, shoulders width apart, just like this in front of you. You're gonna set your index finger right behind, grazing the center of each block so that your wrists are exactly shoulders width apart. So make sure your index finger is touching the back of each block. And then stack your shoulders right on top of your wrists. Knees directly under hips. From here, lifting your lower abdomen, broaden your shoulder blades apart and broaden your chest forward, keeping your gaze about 1 foot on the floor ahead of your hands. So neck is long, head is not collapsing. Steadying your gaze, soften your eyes, and feel the peace in your breath. From here, inhale, straighten your right leg behind you, flexing the heel back like you're pressing into your rear wall. Toes are facing the ground. Keep breathing. Slightly draw your left hip back and lift your lower belly. Next inhale, glide forward 1 foot, shoulder heads 1 foot forward, and then bend your elbows back so that your shoulders can tap the blocks. Pause on the blocks. Keep pressing back to your right heel. If you need, you can lower your right knee for more support. Lift the lower belly, lengthen your neck. Take a deep breath in, hollow your belly, and press up, gliding back. All right, so whether you choose to keep your right leg lifted or both knees on the ground, let's take 3 more. Inhale, shift forward 1 foot more. Exhale, bend your elbows close to your side ribs, tapping the block. Inhale, pause here, lift the belly, gaze forward, broaden the chest. Exhale, lift through the belly, push up, plank pose, glide back. 2 more, inhale forward, exhale, lower to tap. Inhale, pause and lengthen. Exhale, lift through navel and glide back. Last one, inhale forward, exhale to tap. Inhale, pause and lengthen. Exhale, lift through the navel, press back. Lower your knees, come on down to child's pose, and reach your arms back by your sides. 3 breaths. Let this pause be a moment to re-steady and sustain your breath. Though you know what's coming up on side 2, can you allow yourself the fullness of each new moment, new as it is, rather than, here's a practice of asteya, robbing yourself of the spontaneity of the moment that can creep in. All right, here we go. Index fingers touching the blocks, thumbs wide and flat. Take a moment to feel how you are using the ground to push off of to your hands. You don't want to feel like you're sinking into the ground, which can cause compression in the shoulder joints, but you're rooting down to lift up, lifting the lower belly, gazing forward, lengthen your neck. Shoulder blades are wide across your back ribs. Inhale, lift your left leg slowly behind you, keeping the balance in your hips. Flex your toes to face the ground. Keep breathing here. Now, as you draw your right hip slightly back, lift your inner left thigh a little more towards the sky. Lift your navel in. Next inhale, glide forward another foot ahead. Exhale, bend your elbows close to your side ribs, tapping the blocks. Pause on the blocks. Inhale, lengthen. Feel the firmness in your abdomen. Exhale, press up and glide back. Again, we've got 3 to go. Inhale forward. Lift the sides of your waist as you exhale to lower. Keep that straight line. Inhale here. Lift from the navel. Exhale, press up and glide back. Inhale forward. Exhale, lower to tap. Inhale, lengthen and stabilize. From the belly, exhale, lift and glide back. Last round. Inhale forward. Exhale, tap. Inhale, lift and lengthen. From the navel, exhale, press up and glide back. Knees to the floor. This time, put your blocks aside for a moment and spin your fingertips to turn out whatever degree you can stretch into your inner wrists and forearms. Now you might decide to take a few rounds of cat-cow, or if your elbows are pointing towards you, you can bend your elbows some more if you're needing more sensation in your inner wrists. Let your neck, jaw, shoulders unclench if there's any added tension there right now. And let's take another 3 deep breaths. So we just play through the process of entering 4-limb staff pose, also known as Chaturanga Dandasana. We're going to now pass through it in the context of a full vinyasa, in the context of Sun Salutation A. But I'd like you to imagine that those blocks are there because you do want to stamp that memory of gliding forward sufficiently before bending your elbows 90 degrees close to your side ribs. And from Chaturanga, you'll either lower all the way down onto your belly to enter Cobra pose where the pelvis stays on the ground, or from Chaturanga, you'll flip the tops of your feet to the floor, press down through the tops of your feet to enter upward facing dog. So let's start at the top of your mat in mountain pose. Parallel your feet, hips width apart, turn your palms to face forward, and feel how you are relating to the ground below. As you press into that support through the 4 corners of each foot, feel the energy in your legs, the lift to your spine and chest. Inhale, circle your arms overhead and gaze up. Exhale, hinge from your hips. Pressing with fingertips. Inhale, broaden your chest forward, lengthen your spine. Step carefully into plank pose. As you exhale, glide forward 1 foot ahead of your wrists. Bend your elbows back to hug your side ribs. Feel Chaturanga Dandasana. Choose to lower all the way or flip your toes. Inhale to Cobra or upward facing dog. Hollow your belly to lift your pelvis back. Entering downward facing dog. Let's take 3 deep breaths. Bend your knees. Look past your fingertips. At the end of your exhale, walk or float softly to the top of your mat. Inhale, press with your fingertips. Lengthen your chest forward. Exhale, fold in. From down to your feet. Inhale, rise, reach your arms high. Exhale to your heart center. Back to mountain pose. Twice more. Inhale, your arms overhead. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Step back to plank. Exhale, glide a foot forward. Pass through Chaturanga Dandasana. You decide cobra or upward dog as you breathe in, legs strong. Hollow your belly and lift with it, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Bend your knees, bottom of your exhale, walk or float. Inhale, press your heart forward. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, rise tall. Exhale, back to mountain pose. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Now you might opt to float into Chaturanga, but make sure you feel the posture itself. You decide how to take it all the way through your Vinyasa, and let's meet in downward facing dog. Once in downward dog, feel the base, which are your hands, spreading down into the earth, lifting energy up to your arms, your shoulders, your hips. Then step your feet together. They're also part of the base. Turn out your right leg from the hip, entering tree pose with your legs. So you can press the sole of your right foot right up against your inner left ankle. Otherwise, flex your right foot and we'll create a figure 4, crossing the right ankle above your left knee onto your thigh to help splay open your right hip as you evenly lift both sitting bones back, firming your belly towards your back. 3 more breaths. Rooting down to your palms. Inhale, raise your right leg behind you and square your hips, turning right toes and knee to face the floor. Exhale, high onto your left toes, bend your right knee towards your nose and hollow your belly. Very quietly stepping right foot directly between your hands. Spin your back heel down and cartwheel your arms up for warrior 2. Aligning your right heel to the arch of your left foot, wrap your right sitting bone down beneath your body and bend your right knee just above your right heel. Straightening your left leg from the top of your left thigh bone back towards the right edge of your mat and feel your spine light and upright. Steady your gaze softly past your right hand. Another 4 deep breaths in warrior 2. Cartwheel your hands into plank pose. Either take it just to Chaturanga and back like a push-up or move through a full Vinyasa, your choice. As you arrive in downward dog, feel the base that is your palms, rooting down through fingers spread, lifting energy through your arms, shoulders, and hips. Bring your feet together, the other part of the base. Turn out your left leg at the hip and either enter tree pose, sole of left foot against inner right ankle, or flex your left foot and cross the ankle above your right knee onto your thigh. Deep breaths. Lift your sitting bones high and back, firming your lower belly towards your back. Last 2 breaths here. Rooting down to your palms. Inhale, raise your left leg behind you, squaring your hips. Exhale, high onto your right toes, bend left knee towards your nose. Hollow your belly to very softly land the left foot directly between your palms. Spin your right heel down, cartwheel your arms into Virabhadrasana 2. So aligning your left heel to intersect the arch of your right foot, wrap your left sitting bone beneath your body and bend your front knee right on top of the ankle. As your right leg straightens from the top of that thigh towards the left edge of your mat. Feel your spine tall and light. Steady your gaze, gently past your left hand. 4 more breaths. Cartwheel your hands, plank pose, optional chaturanga push-up or full-on vinyasa, or none of that. Let's meet again in downward facing dog. This time with your feet hips width apart, ground through your palms, keep your hips balanced. Inhale, slowly raise your right leg behind you. As you keep your shoulders balanced, cross your right knee to tap the outside of your left upper arm and stack your shoulders above your wrists in a twist. Lightly step your right foot inside of your right hand, coming into a high lunge. Bend your left knee, feet are hips width apart, parallel, and lift up slowly into crescent lunge. Now feel that your two hip bones are evenly facing forward. Your tailbone is actively descending as you're lifting your frontal hip bones lightly towards your lowest front ribs. Stability at your center. Raising your arms, feel length in your spine while relaxing your shoulders down. Maybe even start to straighten your left leg. Let's take a couple breaths. Now with the help of your right hand, bend your left elbow behind your skull and land your left palm at the base of your neck, rolling your left tricep forward. Now with the right hand reaching underneath, you could either grab your shirt or try to slide your fingers to clasp, walking your hands closer together. Now broadening your chest, slide your shoulder heads down and lift your sternum. Keep firming in the lower belly, anchoring your tailbone down as you begin a little back bend here, broadening and lifting your chest. Take another breath in and release your arms. Extending your arms forward, begin to lean your torso forward. If that's a bit intense for your back muscles, you could bring your arms back by your sides with your palms face down. If your arms are still overhead, let your palms face each other, triceps towards the ground, shoulder blades down your back. Keep scissoring right outer hip back, left outer hip forward. Now feel your hips stay steady and still as you rotate above them at your waistline, turning your chest to the right. Lower your left fingertips to the ground or a block right beneath your left shoulder. Raise your right arm towards the sky. As you firm your left heel towards your back wall, lengthen the crown of your head towards your front wall. Firm your outer hips to hug your midline. And hollow your belly as you breathe out to deepen the twist. Let's take another 3 breaths here. Deep inhale, wide across your arms. Exhale, lower your right hand and step back to downward facing dog. 3 breaths. See that your feet are hips width apart, press down through your palms. Inhale, raise your left leg back, squaring your hips. Just the same way, square your shoulders and exhale, cross your left knee to tap your right tricep. Softly step left foot just inside of left hand in a high lunge. Bend your right knee and slowly rise up to crescent. Feel your right hip slightly draw forward as your left hip draws back. Tailbone descending as you lift your frontal hip bones. Tall spine, relaxed shoulders, couple more. With the help of your left hand, bend your right elbow behind your skull, landing your right palm at the base of your neck. Wrap your right tricep forward, reach your left hand underneath, and walk your hands as close together as you can. They might be able to clasp. Keep drawing your tailbone down and firming your belly in, perhaps straightening your right leg a bit as you coil your chest up and soften the tops of your shoulders down. 3 more breaths. Lifting your arms up, back to crescent. Keep that scissoring action or energy in your legs. Arms can stay overhead as you tilt your spine to hover your belly off your left thigh, or bring your arms down by your sides, palms face down. If your arms are forward, triceps are right alongside your ears and the shoulder blades are drawing down your back. Continue to scissor your left hip back and send your right hip forward. With stability and strength in your legs, feel the balance of your two hips. Keep them still and begin to rotate at your waistline, lowering your right fingertips. Raise your left arm towards the sky. Firm back through your right heel. Lengthen forward to your crown. Hollowing your belly. Hug your outer hips towards your midline as you deepen the twist. One more deep breath in, wide across your wingspan, opening your chest. Exhale down to plank pose. Optional vinyasa or chaturanga push-up. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Breathe in, breathe out. Now from here, come on down to your knees. Take your 2 blocks and have a seat right at the center of your mat. Place 1 block by the skinniest width right between your thighs and parallel your feet as wide apart as your knees. Second block, just put it beside you and extend your arms forward. Oh, actually, we can use it right now. Take the widest width of the second block. Have your palms, fingers together, flat, so you're not gripping the block like this. No claws. And sandwich the widest width of the block between your palms, but rotate your triceps towards the ground so that your pinky finger sides are more firmly pressing into the block. You feel your upper back at work, your upper arms at work. Now plug your shoulder bones back into their sockets and down and lengthen your neck. Feel all around your torso, front, back, left and right sides, hugging your center line. Now take a deep breath and take your time, several breaths to lower onto your back. Keep firming your pinky finger edges towards that wide block. Relax the face. Now, when you do land on your block, or on the ground, excuse me, let me take this microphone out of the way. Put that wide block aside for a moment so that you can locate your feet. Arms straight down by your sides, hugging your side ribs. Slide your feet back until you could almost touch your heels with your fingertips, but not. Just on. Re-parallel your feet and spread your toes. Firm down like mountain pose, rooting through the 4 corners of each foot. Hug the block and feel your outer hips at work, hugging your midline. Now take the wide block again, same way of holding it, more through the pinky toe edges of your, or the pinky finger edges of your hands. Extend your arms towards the sky and plug your shoulder bones into the earth. Then glide your shoulder blades down your back ribs and lengthen your neck. We're gonna take a bridge pose with the arms like this. So press down to your feet, activating your hamstrings by imagining, not actually moving, as if you're dragging your heels towards your glutes when you lift your pelvis. So pelvis slowly rises, chin slightly tilts back. 5 breaths here. Now activating your hamstring is that feeling as if you're dragging your heels back towards your glutes. In addition, lengthen the fronts of your thigh bones forward and hug the block. Feel the flesh of your glutes releasing towards the backs of your knees. Begin to extend your arms higher towards overhead if you're able to, while squeezing the block between your pinky shoulder edges. Shoulder blades down the back. One more deep breath. Now as you exhale, slowly lower upper back, middle back, tailbone, and arms forward. All right. Now I just wanted you to feel that idea of hugging your outer upper arms towards each other, keeping that space of shoulders distance between your elbows, between your palms. So now we're gonna do it without the block and add on. So locate your feet again for bridge, parallel them, hug the block, and prepare to lift. 5 deep breaths. Lifting your pelvis, activate your hamstrings, lengthen your thighs forward, extend your arms forward and up, shoulder blades down your back, chin tilting back. Press into the imaginary block with your pinky finger edges, but this time bend your elbows, flex your wrists, and see if you can tap the ground overhead with your fingertips or slide your palms towards flat, just outside of your ears. Last few breaths, make sure that your elbows are hugging an imaginary wide block between them, rather than splaying apart. When you're ready to come down, use an exhalation, lowering 1 vertebra at a time. And once you've lowered, take a couple of breaths to circle your hands at your wrists. You might make fists with your hands. You might interlace your fingers. Or maybe even turn your head gently side to side. Last round. Now, you can take it to any stage as we're going through the process of entering Urdhva Dhanurasana, upward facing bow. So here we go. Hug the block, set up your feet. Inhale, lift your pelvis. So you're counting on your own 5 to 10 breaths this time. Extend your arms up, bend your elbows, hugging an imaginary wide block between them, and flex your wrists. Spread your fingers as the palms might land face down alongside your ears. As your palms press the floor, lift the crown of your head onto the floor and see that your elbows are still hugging in. You might splay the hands a little wider apart and slightly turn them out. As you keep your thighs hugging the block and your feet parallel, you might explore pushing off with your hands and feet to lift your head, lengthening your chest towards your rear wall while lengthening your tailbone towards a space between your knees. Feel the energy of dragging your heels towards your glutes as you lengthen the front of your thighs forward. When you're ready to come down, if you're in full upward bow, reverse the stages slowly. Crown of your head onto the floor. Tuck your chin towards your chest. Then slowly lower 1 vertebra at a time. From here, let's put the block aside. And wrap your right thigh over the left, splaying your feet apart off the ground. Now, if you can catch your outer feet, take hold of them with your hands. Otherwise, catch your outer calves or the backs of your thighs. Grounding your tailbone and shoulders, allow your feet to splay apart as your thighs further hug your midline. 3 more breaths. Keep the shape of your legs and let your right sole lower to the ground onto your left side. So the left leg can just drop onto the floor with the knee bent. Open your right arm wide, ground your right shoulder, maybe even turn your head to gaze past it. With your left palm, press the inner side of your right thigh gently away from your belly. And feel your right knee point more upright towards the sky. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. On your next exhale, relax back to center. Set your 2 feet on the floor. Then cross your left thigh over your right thigh. Splay your feet off the ground and either catch your outer feet, outer calves, or backs of your thighs. Keep your pelvis and shoulders heavy on the floor. Supine cow face pose. Supta Gomukhasana. Now keep the shape of your legs. Let your left sole step onto the ground as it falls over to your right side. Let your right leg just splay open onto its side as well. Splay your left arm out to the left side and ground your left shoulder, maybe gazing past it. Now with your right palm, gently press on the inner side of your left thigh, helping your left knee to point more upright towards the sky and your left sole to stably ground. Deep breaths. And on your next exhale, relax back to center. Splay your feet onto the floor wider than hips distance and drop your knees both together to touch. From a cactus bend of your elbows, cross your right elbow over the left. And then give yourself a tight hug. Let your fingertips reach for the edges of your shoulder blades, encouraging your shoulder blades to broaden wider apart. Deep breath into your back ribs. Long sigh through your mouth. Splay your bent elbows apart again and switch the other elbow on top as you give yourself a tight hug, so tight that your elbows could possibly stack down your midline. Use your fingertips to find the edges of your shoulder blades or scapula and gently pull them apart. Now breathe into the center of your upper back. And consciously relax that area of your body as you breathe out. Take another deep breath in, also filling up your belly. And a nice big sigh out to your mouth. So as we set up for Shavasana, I'd like to invite you into Supta Baddha Konasana. Splaying your thighs open with your knees bent and bringing the soles of your feet together to touch. If you're finding that your thighs need some support, grab your 2 blocks and place them at the height that you need, just beneath your outer thighs or outer knees. Feel it out and see what's most comfortable for you. And then from here, you can either rest your left palm on the center of your chest and your right palm just below your belly button, or turn your palms to face up with your arms straight, slightly away from your sides. Feel your 2 shoulders soften into the earth as you allow spaciousness in your neck and across your chest. Close your eyes and soften the 4 corners of each. Let your skull feel completely supported as you now let go of controlling your breath. Gift yourself a few minutes here of stillness. rest here a little longer. So remembering the quote by Sejal Shah, taking more than we need often arises from greed, envy, and insecurity. And in so doing, we steal the real freedom and joy of life from ourselves. How in this practice have you addressed your true needs in the moment? Perhaps in practicing asteya or non-stealing from the first limb of yoga, we can cultivate a feeling of self-reliance as well as interconnectedness. So if you'd like to join me in 5 minutes of sitting silently in meditation, ease your body to eventually rise up to sit comfortably. Now beginning our 5 minutes. as we step into the rest of our day, practicing asteya, we might pause for moments of self-inquiry. In this moment, how can I fulfill my true needs, taking no more or no less than I need? Let's gently bring the palms together at the heart, bowing into close. A deep breath for one chant of Om. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.